Hey guys, we are so excited to announce we are producing our own original content. Head over to The Trendy for the best DIYs, fashion tips, makeup hacks, and so much more. We are sure you're going to love it. And be sure to let us know what you think in the comment section. We love to hear from you. See you there.
Descendants was probably the best TV movie Disney ever made, as we got the chance to see the child of our favorite princesses and villains in a new adventure. But unless you watch it too many times, just like we did, you probably miss many Disney connections. Just wait until you find out what song was playing when Uma danced with Ben. Hola! Did you hear about our latest addition to our family? The Richest. Espanol is the perfect place for all you native Spanish speakers out there. Don't speak Spanish? No problem. Come on over. This is the perfect place to practice. Amazing facts, interesting people, and funny pictures. Nos vemos ahí. Today, we are showing you 10 Disney connections in Descendants 2 that will make your jaw drop. The parents. This is the most obvious connection to Disney movies that we all love. Those who live in Auradon are the sons and daughters of our favorite Disney princesses, and those who live on the Isle of the Lost are the children of the worst villains who ever existed. For example, Mal is the daughter of the terrifying Maleficent from Sleeping Beauty. Just like her mother is the villain that we fear the most, Mal is also the leader of her group. Then we got Evie, the daughter of the evil queen from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. They both care about their looks, even if the young woman can show that she has a great personality too. We also have Jay, who is Jafar's son from Aladdin. This time, he was not really like his father, but more like the nicest street urchin. And we won't forget Carlos, Cruella de Vil's son from 101 Dalmatians, who was surprisingly afraid of dogs. Then, in Auradon, we got the chance to meet Ben, the new king and son of Belle from Beauty and the Beast. And then there are all the other characters that we met in the first and second movie who are also the sons and daughters of our favorite characters. It's nice to see that they are so similar that we could understand where they came from, but also so different that we never knew what was coming in their future. The signs. These first connections were obvious. But let's talk about something that only the biggest Disney fans with an HD TV noticed. It is all the signs on the Isle of the Lost in the first and second movie. You obviously notice Ursula's fish and chips and Lady Tremaine's curl up and die, but they were not the only ones who started their own company. In Descendants, we could see that Gaston and Frollo had villain shops. They were right there on the side of the screen when our favorite villains were singing Rotten to the Core. As you can see, the yellow sign reads Gaston's Duels Without Rules. And another one reads Frollo's Quiperia. When we first met Evie, we could also see Captain Hook's shop called Hook's Clock and Curiosity Shop. At least it looks like this guy is not afraid of clocks anymore. In the second movie, we could see Shan Yu's Dastardly Dim Sum. If you don't remember him, it was the guy from Mulan. Then you can see Hades, Souvlaki, the Lord of the Underworld from Hercules. And this one is just a bonus. But we also saw a sign reading, Feeling happy? There is help. Call the Happiness Prevention Hotline. And we think that there are probably many more things that we missed in the background. Can you name one? The apples. The second movie, Descendants 2, started in the best way with the song Ways to be Wicked. This time, our favorite villains decided to use poisoned apples to turn their schoolmates into bad people just like them. No one could resist the temptation, and as soon as they bit this fruit, they started dancing with Mal, Evie, Jay, and Carlos. You all know where this fruit comes from. This is how the evil queen tried to get rid of the princess in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And the reason why we remember it so much is because she was the first Disney princess. But why are the apples making people bad? Shouldn't they all be asleep until a prince comes to save them? Actually, the princess biting an apple represented a pure young girl who couldn't resist the temptation and become a sinner according to people who study symbology. The reason why she fell in a deep sleep was that she needed to wait and be old enough to find the true love of her life, and the forbidden fruit wouldn't be that bad anymore. You can also see the apple in many different fairy tales, and a fruit that many people believe was an apple was also mentioned in the Bible. And we know that bad things happen when you take a bite of this fruit, but the villains just don't mind. The classics. The apple is not the only classic thing that we can recognize from our favorite Disney movies. For example, in the first movie, you could see that Maleficent had some funny magnets on her fridge. There was a spinning wheel and her pet raven named Diablo. You could also see blue and pink magic flying out of the chimneys on the Isle of the Lost, just like it happened in Sleeping Beauty. People also quickly saw the magic carpet from Aladdin when Jay was singing in the marketplace, and a poster of his father as the genie. But that's not all. We know that our favorite Disney characters love to have an animal companion, and that is exactly what happened when Carlos adopted Duke. The dog even started talking in the second movie. Then we got Jane, the daughter of the fairy godmother, who loves pumpkin pie. Doesn't that remind you of a magical carriage? And her ringtone is also the sound of her mom's wand. The story also repeats itself when Dizzy, Drusilla's daughter, had to do all the chores. And we will never forget when Uma cast a spell on Ben, just like her mother did with Eric, and when Mal saved her relationship with a kiss of true love. It is just proof that we can watch these fairy tales again and again, and we will still love them even more. The dinner. In Descendants 2, Mal knew that she was a terrible cook, and this is why she decided to use her spellbook to prepare something for her boyfriend Ben. She turned a simple sandwich into a delicious meal, and the king was really impressed. But did you really pay attention to the food? Mal made hors d'oeuvres, beef ragout, and many other things like that, just like Lumiere did when he wanted to impress Belle in Be Our Guest. It just reminds us of the remix of this song in the first movie. Unfortunately, it didn't end up well for the couple. The king quickly realized that his girlfriend used magic to cook all these things, which meant that she lied to him. And she was so ashamed that she just ran away and decided to go back to the Isle of the Lost because she didn't feel like she belonged in Auradon. But isn't it weird to see that she cooked the same thing as Lumiere with a spellbook? Maybe that's because the funny characters in Beauty and the Beast used magic too. And as long as they used it in a good way, spells shouldn't always be a bad thing, right? Unfortunately, we saw what happens when a spellbook fell into the wrong hands, so Mal learned a good lesson that day. She won't use this spellbook anymore, and she will have to learn how to make hors d'oeuvres just like anyone else. The magic. As we have seen during the dinner, Mal still used her spellbook in Descendants 2. It was a gift from her mother Maleficent. And even if she didn't use it to do really bad things, we can't say that it was good either. But she was not the only one who used magic. In the first movie, Descendants, Evie had a piece of the magic mirror as a gift from her mother, the evil queen. This is how she got the answers to all her questions and even impressed a teacher. But she quickly understood that she would be prouder of using her own brain, and this is why she decided to give it away. But the most important thing in the first movie was probably the fairy godmother's wand. That's the reason why Mal, Evie, Jay, and Carlos decided to go to Auradon. Their parents wanted them to steal it. And even in the second movie, Uma kidnapped Ben and asked for the wand in exchange. However, we all understood that the wand wasn't as good as we thought in this new adventure. No one should have that much power, as magic can not only be used for the right reasons, but also to do bad things. But we have to admit that we would make the mistake of trying it at least once before admitting that it was a terrible idea. The characters. We love to see new villains and good people in Descendants. But it was also fun to see what happened with the characters that we saw in the classic Disney movies. Those that we saw the most were Belle and the Beast, as they were Ben's parents. They are the proof that our favorite characters really do live happily ever after, even if life isn't always easy. But then we got the chance to see the famous villains who never understood that doing the wrong things would never make them happy. It was great to see Maleficent, the evil queen, Jafar, and Cruella de Vil in Descendants. But they were not there anymore in the second movie. And this is why we want to know what will happen to them in the third movie. And there were some other famous characters in the film that you probably didn't notice. Audrey, the daughter of Sleeping Beauty, was on vacation with the fairies Flora, Fauna, and Merryweather. She even had a flat tire in the Sherwood Forest. We also got the chance to see Ursula for a few seconds in Descendants 2. However, we couldn't see the whole villain herself, but only a tentacle in her restaurant. And some fans also noticed Lumiere in human form in the second movie. We can't wait to see who is coming next if there is a third movie. The transformations. Just when we thought that Descendants 2 couldn't get better, we were captivated when Uma and Mal started fighting. They weren't only insulting each other. Uma jumped in the water and turned into an octopus, just like her mother Ursula. Then Mal transformed into a dragon, just like her mother Maleficent used to do. We even thought that Ben would become a beast when he tried to stop the fight, but he was able to control himself. This is all connected to the popular Disney movies, as the kids have the same power as their parents. However, they realized that it was a mistake to use it. This is why many people wondered why Mal turned into a dragon. Does that mean she will never really be able to be good? Actually, it was just part of who she is, and that doesn't mean that it was bad. She was just doing this to protect Ben, and not to hurt anyone. As the director said, there's something in her DNA that enables her to become a large protective version of herself, as opposed to just turning into a dragon to battle or to hurt someone. So we're happy to see that Mal is still the nice girl that we all know, and we just hope that we won't see this dragon again. It's too scary. The songs. If you watch the first movie, you know that Ben clearly paid homage to his parents by singing the new version of Be Our Guest. He had a cute accent when he was trying to speak French. His parents danced like any parents would do, and he updated the song so it would still sound great in 2015. Now we clearly understand why Mal fell in love with the king of Auradon. But you might be surprised to know that this is not the only famous song you heard in the movie. In Descendants 2, Gil described his father by saying that he's quick, slick, and his neck is incredibly thick. If that sounds familiar, that's because these are the lyrics of the song that he sang in Beauty and the Beast. But there is another song that you probably didn't recognize at the end of the movie. We understand why. You were too shocked when Uma stole Ben away from Mal. But the song they danced to was actually a remix of Kiss the Girl from The Little Mermaid. It looks like Uma just wanted to be just like her mother and take the place of the girl who was loved. When we know that, it makes this scene much more meaningful. And we are happy when we think that this kiss would have meant nothing anyway because it was not true love. The outfits. The most obvious way to know who were the characters was simply to look at their outfits. For example, Mal was dressed in purple, Jay wore red, Evie was dressed in blue, and Carlos wore black and white, just like their parents did. And we could clearly see that the Evil Queen's daughter and Cruella de Vil's son knew how to look good. Their look might be more adapted to the 21st century, but it was still easy to know where they came from. And the same thing happened in Auradon. Ben wore yellow and blue, just like his parents did in Beauty and the Beast. And the fairy godmother and her daughter Jane were always wearing the same colors. Then there was Harry, who always carried around his father's hook, and Lonnie, who let her Chinese heritage shine through her clothes. But there are also some little details that you might have missed. Jay almost always wore a cobra, which was his father's favorite animal. Uma also wore her mother's necklace that looked just like a seashell. And then there was Evie, who was just obsessed with crowns and harps. Are there any other Disney connections that we missed? Don't be shy to tell us what it is in the comment section down below. We'd love to hear what you think. And that's it for 10 Disney connections that will make your jaw drop. For more stories like this, make sure you watch 10 Descendants characters reimagined in the Loud House. Thanks for watching.